Alright guys, hope you're doing well. So yeah, in this video I wanted to touch on two things really, and I think they sort of intermingle between each other. And that is, how to figure out what sort of healing program to do. And then secondly, what practitioner should you use? And I think, these are two important questions to ask. And like I say, I think they do both sort of mix together, in one sense. So the first thing is like what healing program to do. But I actually think probably the first thing you should ask yourself actually is what practitioner should I use? Because I think what a lot of people don't really look into, in my opinion, is they might find something that sounds great, or they might find a program that oh, this sounds good, or this makes sense to me. Because that's one thing is is just figuring out a program that sort of like makes sense. I mean, when I first looked at Dr. Wilson's brain fog article, I'd read a lot of things on the internet, and I read his article, and to me it just made 100% sense. But I suppose that's not really going to be the same for everyone, because clearly some people look at sort of a fruitarian regime, for example, and to them it makes complete sense. So that's why I say maybe the best thing to do is to sort of look for a practitioner first. And why do I say that? Well, I personally think that one really good way of figuring out how to heal yourself is actually go and look for other people who've had that particular problem themselves and subsequently fixed it. I don't think it's good enough to look for someone who's had that problem and speaks about it, because you actually find a lot of them. But actually finding someone who's actually, had the problem that you've had and then subsequently fixed it themselves. And I think also it's super important to, once you've found that person, is to actually look at their history and see whether they've been consistent in what they are actually saying to people on their platform. I'll give you an example. There's a lot of people out there, over the years, I've had a lot of clients who have had EMF sensitivity is a big one, derealization and depersonalization, and visual snow. That's because I used to talk about them a lot, and I used to talk about them a lot because those were major things that I'd overcome in my life. I don't get, for example, a lot of cancer patients, which kind of makes sense because I've never had cancer, so a lot of people are not going to come to me, for that particular advice. But there is a lot of people on the internet, let's take EMF for example, there's a lot of people on the internet who talk about EMF sensitivity. But if you listen to them, and you listen to them enough, you'll actually find out that they've not actually overcome their EMF sensitivity. They're just sort of living with it, and they're just basically teaching you how to cope with EMF sensitivity by removing yourself or whatever. The same with derealization, depersonalization. There's a lot of people that talk about it, and they might give you like tips and tricks and things that like help them a little bit. But if you really listen to them, have they fully overcome it? So often no. So that would be one of my biggest bits of advice, is finding someone who's overcome the thing that you really want to focus on and genuinely overcome it. And then the second part to that is, have they been consistent with what they're actually promoting? This is sort of a little bit of I suppose a pet peeve for me, because there's a lot of health influencers out there, so-called health influencers out there, that seem to change their mind about things every month. And you think to yourself, well, if you fully healed yourself, then you're not really going to be changing your the way that you teach stuff, if that makes sense. I know I've seen some health influencers who will be pushing the vegan diet for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they'll stop doing it and they'll start eating meat. And I think to myself, well, you clearly were not permanently healed before you started giving out that advice. And I think that is it's almost fraud, in my opinion. It's really fraudulent. So yeah, if you notice, me and Luke, for example, we've been doing the YouTube channel for years. We've not swayed off. The core of what the advice that we give. Yeah, we are starting to evolve what we're doing. So like implementing some binders, obviously switching up the supplement ingredients a little bit. I've learned a lot more about sort of how sensitive people can be to sort of near infrared lights in terms of EMF and stuff. But we haven't gone from carnivore to vegan, or we haven't done a complete U-turn or a 90-degree change in the way that we promote things. And I think that is really important. But I think a lot of people unfortunately do it the wrong way around, whereby they'll see something that they think looks good. Oh, veganism looks good, it sounds nice, or fruitarianism or whatever, and then they'll go and find someone that's promoting that, and then these people have not actually overcome the issues that the individual that's coming to them have got, and unfortunately these individuals that are giving out advice have not actually permanently overcome the problems themselves, so they might be technically in a way lying to the individual, which I think is pretty bad. But yeah, I see that quite a lot, and hopefully this is going to help some people out a little bit. Like I say, there's some things that I just haven't got a lot of experience with. I mean, the first thing that comes to my head was obviously cancer. I'm a male, so obviously I haven't had any experience with maybe like women's reproductive health or that sort of stuff. I'm not saying I don't know about it, but what I'm saying is if I was starting again, I would find someone who's had the same problem that I'm trying to fix, that has permanently fixed the issue, which I know is harder than it sounds, and who hasn't changed their core ways of dealing with the issue for a long period of time, and I think that's the main thing to look out for. Alright, so thanks for watching this short video, and I'll catch you tomorrow.